Hello, I'm Courtney Bill, and I will be talking about a lesson plan for geared towards kindergarten. It's reading, writing subject, but it was over the book A House for Hermit Crab, written by Carle. I would probably do this lesson at the beginning of the school year because in the book, if most of you don't know, I've never read it. I've never heard of it until I was looking for this. The hermit crab, when a hermit crab gets so big, it has to find a new home, a new shell. So whenever the hermit crab had to find a new shell, he was scared. He felt very unsafe. So he found a new shell. This could relate, or students could relate to this if they had to move. This is their first year of school. Just any scared situation, I guess you could say. Throughout the book, he gains friends: a sea urchin, a sea anemone, coral, and then he had to go through the seaweed, which he was scared then, but he wasn't so scared he couldn't make it through because he had his friends. So it's showing the students that they're not alone, that they do have friends, they can make friends. It's a like the student would learn a self-connection through this book. I would ask some questions beforehand. What do you think is happening to Hermit Crab? Let them elaborate on what they think is going to happen in the story. Just to maybe see maybe some of them have read it. I had all of Eric Carle's books. I did not have this one. I was so very upset. It took me forever to find it. Do you know what a hermit crab is? So they could learn a little bit about a hermit crab and sea urchins also. Or sea creatures, not urchins, because a sea urchin is a creature. But they could learn that as well. There was a ton of lessons that I found for the hermit crab book. Where do hermit crabs live? What's their habitat like? Do you think hermit crab would be moving if they know any background on a hermit crab? Just introduce the book, read it, talk about the main character, make a connection. Their guided practice, it would just be reading the book and discussing it with them because they're not really a lot. Like it would just be adult coursed through it. They would need help. Ask the students question on how they connected with the hermit crab. What could they relate the shell to? The shell could be a new school, a new house, a new town, gaining friends, the sea creatures. Could it relate to the first day of school? Anytime that they had to do anything new, it could relate to that. It's the hermit crab had to find a new home, had to find a new friend. Kindness also, because at the end of the book, he ran across another hermit crab that was looking for a home, and she needed a new home. Well, his was perfect size for him, so he gave her his, and he went and found another one. Independent practice, I would do like an arts and craft project with it. Tell the students to create a home, or in this case a shell. I would paper plates, those super tiny thin ones, like you can't put anything on them because it'll break. Use those plates. Watercolors, paints, Crayolas, markers, whatever you feel comfortable with your students having. I know my daughter, she's a kindergartner. Her class only required her to have crayons. Like used to when we were kids, it was like crayons, markers, the whole 9 yards. So watercolors, paints, Crayolas, jewels of any kind, any shape, pipe cleaners, just random things, just in and out things to decorate the shell with. If you want to get super creative, you can cut the plate in like a circle shape to make it look like a shell. A picture of the student. I would ask the mom, dad, guardian a picture of the student and tell them what it's for. I would do it probably a week to in advance, just in case like the parent's not comfortable in giving the picture out. You can come up with some other idea, but usually they're pretty okay with it. When the student paints the plate, they can then decorate it. When finished with the plate, you'll want to have like a printout paper, notebook paper journal. So the kids can write a sentence explaining their house or explaining their time of their experience. And then so they will read that, and then for an exceptional student, you could just have them write a short story, depending on how they do with arts and craft time. You could have them write a short story on how the book could continue, because at the end he finds a new home, since he had a trade with the girl hermit crab. So the student could write a short story on how the story would continue. Or change the main character to a turtle to see where that story would go. Because turtles don't change their shell, so maybe they could elaborate on that. And then to close up the lesson, you could have your students read their sentences and show the homes to the class. The exceptional student could read their short story. My goal in this lesson was to have the students connect with the story in their own way, whether it be school, home, a new church, anything to where they felt uncomfortable and they gained something out of it. The exceptional student can have a different perspective on, or they could also show the other students a different perspective or how it could carry on, and that would be the lesson. Thank you.